Hello friends, welcome back to Cosmopolitan Cornbread. My name is Constance and today I thought I would just bring you into the kitchen. I'm, here by myself. Mr. Smith is out of town on another one of his business trips. And as I've talked about in the past, I've been doing a lot of carnivore, ketovore types of eating. And I thought I would share with you one of my other go-to kind of meals. It is incredibly easy, and this is one of the things that I made for myself a lot while we were in the process of moving because it was just me. I didn't want to go to a bunch of fuss for cooking when it was just me. It's kind of hard just to cook for one person, and so I would make this. I would eat however much I wanted, and then I would just have leftovers the next day for lunch or dinner or what have you. Oh, it helps if I mention what I'm going to make, right? So what I'm going to make is a cheeseburger bowl. And this is one of those dishes that some people may not consider a true carnivore recipe because I use some things in there to make it enjoyable that aren't carnivore and animal based. But I guess you could call this a ketovore recipe because it is keto friendly, but it's heavy on the carnivore aspect. And it is one of the things that I make pretty often, and like I said, made it a lot when we were in the process of moving, and I found myself here by myself a lot on the many trips between Alabama and Arkansas. So I'm going to pull out my handful of ingredients and we'll get started. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dice up a little bit of onion. I don't need this whole thing. I don't even need half of it. I'll use maybe a quarter of it. By the way, this is the apron that I got at Ashley Mercantile on my most recent trip to Alabama last week. Well, actually when this video goes up, it'll be the week before last. All right, there we go. That's maybe, I don't know, 1/3 of a cup or so of diced onion. And we'll save the rest of that onion in a container in the fridge for a different recipe. Turn my stove on here, start heating up that skillet. And we're going to use a pound of ground beef. This is just a pound I had picked up at Aldi. What is this one? This is an 85-15 ratio. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in my skillet. Make sure we get it all. We'll add in the diced onion. And I'm just kind of breaking up the ground beef with my wooden utensil here. Spatula, I guess you would call this. Flat spoon, blade, I don't know. Kind of mix in the onion. And if you can hear all sorts of doggy toenails in the background, I've got a little Ruby in there wrestling with somebody. I can hear them. So now I'm just going to cook this until the ground beef is browned and the onion is tender. So I also wanted to share with you while this is cooking that in the past I've talked about our plans for renovating this kitchen. And let me tell you, every time I come in here and I cook, this and this drives me absolutely nuts. And Mr. Smith and I have been talking, and phase 1 of the kitchen renovation is going to be starting very soon. I have all of the cabinets for this side of the kitchen as well as over the refrigerator in my shopping cart, and as long as they continue to stay in stock, I'm about to put in that order. I'm just waiting for Mr. Smith to get back in town and making sure we have the weather for me to transport all of these cabinets from the store to my house without them getting rained on. So far, the weather report's not showing any chance of that happening. And so once he's back and we know we're good to go, I'll go ahead and submit that order, and we will get started on working on this kitchen. So the first thing that we're going to be doing, of course, is replacing all of these cabinets, installing normal uppers and lowers. I'll probably put in a temporary counter. Kind of debating, going back and forth, whether I want to install butcher block countertops or something else, like maybe quartz or something like that. Kind of leaning towards the butcher block, but you know, I don't want to invest that money until I'm for certain that that's what I want to do. So I am definitely looking forward to the beginning of the change in this kitchen. We'll just let that continue to brown, and I'll go ahead and clean up my little bitty mess here while it's doing that. So while that is finishing up browning, I've got everything tidied up. I'm going to go ahead and open up my cheese here. Now, if you've got shredded cheese, this will work. I don't have any shredded cheese, so I'm just going to shave off a few slices of, this is just a medium cheddar. Whatever kind of cheese you want to use will work just fine, but I mean, this is a cheeseburger bowl, so I figured cheddar cheese is a good option. I'm just going to shave some off and have a few slices sitting here. Maybe 2 more just for good measure. So the ground beef is cooked through, and what I'm doing now is I'm just going to let a little bit of it start kind of getting crispy around the edges. Just a little bit. I think it adds a little bit more flavor to the meat. It's just like searing a roast in a pan before putting it in the oven, or searing your stew meat or anything like that. If you let your ground beef get a little crispy around the edges, adds a little bit more flavor. All right, I think that'll do it. Go ahead and turn that off. All right, so here's the easy part. I'm just going to spoon some of my ground beef. Oh, I almost forgot. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a little bit of salt and pepper. A little bit of salt. A little bit of pepper. Kind of stir that in. Now we'll spoon this in. And I'm just going to take the cheese and just kind of break it up. Again, if you're using shredded cheese, you can just use shredded cheese, but I find it a little more economical to just buy it by the block and then tear it up. And I'll just kind of mix that in. That way that cheese can start melting. Sometimes I'll even put the cheese in the bowl before I put the meat in. All right. Then, this is a cheeseburger bowl, so I'm going to add some ketchup. And the ketchup I'm using is a spicy ketchup. It's sugar-free. This is my favorite ketchup to use. So I'm just going to add a little bit of that, maybe a tablespoon or so. And some pickle relish. Maybe a tablespoon, 2 teaspoons, somewhere around there. And that's it. Easy, keto-friendly, carnivore-ish cheeseburger bowl. So I'm going to go enjoy my easy dinner, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining me here in the kitchen. My name is Constance from Cosmopolitan Cornbread, and I'll talk to you all next time.